Hello everyone, welcome to the Exchange. I'm your host, Geraldine. We have a great show today, so let's get started. Hard drives. Not only are they useful for storing large project files, but when it comes to organization, it makes life a lot easier for students. Because we are all students, we know how valuable time is. So, how important is your work to you? One hard drive crash can take you from an A student to an F. Here joining me from the film department is Professor Dan Cava. So thank you, Mr. Cava, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Today we're going to talk about hard drives and their importance to students. So can you tell us a little bit about hard drives?
Sure. Hard drives are physical devices that you use to store digital data, and they range in size and convenience. You can get them really, really small, like a flash drive, or you can get a really big one, or you can get a whole room full of them to store a lot of data.
Wow. How much storage would you recommend to us when buying a hard drive?
I think 1 terabyte, which is 1,000 gigabytes. I know all the bytes words kind of start to swim together, but I think 1 terabyte is kind of the new normal. It's kind of a good minimum. But that's a little bit of a tricky question because eventually you're always going to run out of space. Yeah. So on top of your physical hard drive where you have 1 terabyte, I would also really recommend investing in some cloud storage, which is something you would buy from a company like Dropbox or Google or something like that, where you have additional storage away from the physical storage as well.
Yeah, I think some of us are doing that now. Why are they so important for students here at the Art Institute?
Well, the Art Institute in particular, you're working with media, and media is often large files, and a lot of it, video in particular, you get a whole lot of shots, and each one of those shots is a file, and those can be really big. And so in order to work on your stuff, you have to have all of these files with you at all times. And cloud storage can handle some of the smaller stuff, but it gets really expensive if you're going to put entire projects worth of video files on cloud storage. So having your hard drive with you all the time is really the way that you carry your work around with you here at the school. And it also is the thing that's going to allow you to have a whole bunch of projects with you at one time and do that conveniently.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Have you ever had your hard drive crash?
Yes, and one of the most important things I ever did in school was destroyed by a hard drive crash. I was a graduate student and I had to write my final paper, which was like 70 or 80 pages. Wow. And I'd made a lot of progress on it. And a few days before I needed to turn it in, actually about a week before I turned it in, my hard drive crashed and I hadn't backed it up.
Ooh,
so I had to do a quarter's worth of work in about 5 days. I just didn't sleep and it was a nightmare.
Oh my God, yeah, that is a nightmare. So is there still hope for students if their hard drive crashes?
Yeah, and there's a couple different places where that hope can come from. One is if you've backed up the really important stuff on cloud storage, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
This way, if your hard drive crashes, like I say in class, if a meteor hits your house, it doesn't matter because your work's not in your house. The other way is you can do some data recovery, and there's some software which kind of runs in the hundreds that will help out with that, but there's also services, and this can run in the thousands, that will physically go and look on your hard drive and see if they can recover some data. But none of those things are guaranteed. And so having backups and having cloud storage is often the way to give yourself real hope.
Oh, that's a nightmare. And we can't afford that, students. Coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look at the photography department. A great camera will not make a great photographer unless a great photographer operates it. Being a great photographer comes with a great work ethic and many hours of focus and hard work. While cameras used to be bulky objects and not easy to move around, methods of capturing images have become quicker, easier, and more portable. This makes it easier on the photographer and allows them to show their capturing skills without limitations. Here with me today is a photography student, Kendrick Terry. So, Kendrick, let's get right to it.
All right.
How long have you been interested in photography?
It started when I was 16, and I'm 19 now, so it's about like 3 years and counting. So I've been into it ever since my mom bought a old Nikon camera. It was pretty horrible, but it's not this one, but it was really bad. But that's what started it.
Okay. What type of pictures do you like to shoot?
I like to do a lot of street photography and portrait work. That's about the most. Sometimes I'll do a little architecture, but not in the traditional sense, more of like my own take on it, but that's about it.
What is the most challenging part of being a photographer?
The most challenging part for me is making my work stand out and being different from the crowd, because in today's age we have a lot of photographers. A lot of them just pick up a camera and then automatically think that they're a photographer just because this digital camera is out and you can buy them. So it's kind of, you just gotta reinvent yourself and make your images worth something.
So it's your personal style that makes you different from the other photographers.
Yep.
If you had one piece of advice to give to upcoming photography students, what would it be?
It would be just to keep working. Basically, I've been shooting for at least 3 or 4 years straight. So I'm on a different skill level than maybe somebody that started yesterday. They may not understand anything, but if they keep shooting, sooner or later, they'll be able to make amazing images. So basically, just keep working.
So practice makes perfect.
Yep.
All right. It's a skill that comes with time, determination. So that being said, your first 10,000 photographs are your worst. So stick with it. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at Disney's new film, Tomorrowland. Welcome back to The Exchange. I'm Geraldine. Tomorrow comes today in Disney's new original movie, Tomorrowland. Starring George Clooney, Tomorrowland will bring you into the world that Walt Disney built all those years ago. With mixed reviews from the audience, the film made a mediocre $41.7 million this past weekend. Maybe you can reassure the future of Tomorrowland today in theaters nationwide. That's all for today's episode of The Exchange. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you guys back here next week. Bye.